Hey guys, what is up? It's me, Lori from Tiori, and welcome back to another episode of Locked Heart. So let's get this thing started. So, what now? Shall we leave or should we stay? Okay, so as she explained before in another episode, she was saying that our option is always wrong. So this time, I'm gonna show you what my reasoning is. I want to pick stay, but you know, last time we did what we wanted, it ended up horribly. So my logic is we should pick leave because that's the opposite of stay. And hopefully it's the right one. I stood on the mansion's porch and stared at the forest ahead of me. The rain had stopped, but the earth was still littered with dampness. Raindrops were caught in the soft halo of moonlight. Taking a deep breath, I turned and looked at the toys gathered at the door. Their expressions were that of sadness. Though the longer I looked at their glass eyes, the more I believed it was fear. So, it was nice meeting you all. No sooner had I finished speaking, did Lily let out a sob and disappear inside. Miss Lily! Bidding me one last worried glance, Mama Bear went after her, which left only Papa Bear and Baby Bear. Why does it suddenly feel like I'm saying my final goodbyes? Maybe this was a bad choice. As if to enforce my concerns, Papa Bear scoffed at me, though it came out more like a growl. Tsk, I can't believe you really want to die so bad. Not that it matters to me. Do whatever you want. He gave me one last glare, then left as well. Dion looked up at me, his cute face crimped with worry and unhappiness, very much like the baby bear I kept calling him. It's not yet too late to change your mind, you know? Deaf, were they really serious about this barrier thing? Would it seriously kill me? I looked at the forest once again. I didn't see anything out of the ordinary that could stop me. Everything was wet from the rain, but it looked the same as it had been when I was still running through the trees to find shelter. Nothing should happen. But why do I feel so nervous and scared? Drawing in a deep breath, I took one step, then another, resisting the urge to glance back at Baby Bear. I tried to take a third step and continue down the path. My own funeral march sung in my head, playing vividly in my mind. I tried to shake it away, but the fear had already sunk in. What if I really die when I try to leave the mansion grounds? My body froze for a few seconds, and then I was stumbling backwards until I was at the front door again. I could feel cold sweat lingering on my neck. I changed my mind. You made the right decision to stay, my lady, although I'm a bit intrigued. What changed your mind? The image of a closed casket entering a tomb flashed across my mind again. You really don't want to know. Baby Bear shrugged and he shook his head at me, though I noticed a little smile on his face too. You are one weird girl. And a clumsy one at that. Anyways, let's go back inside before you get yourself into more trouble. Okay. I was about to follow Baby Bear inside when I noticed something on the lawn a few yards from the porch. I squinted hard. The moonlight caught on a gathering of pebbles lined up in a wide arc on the ground. That's odd. Why are they like that? I turned towards the forest again. Beside me, Baby Bear gave a sigh. What's wrong? Nothing, or check the pebbles all. Well, let's be a courageous person and check the pebbles. I really want to know what's wrong. Without answering Baby Bear, I started towards the forest again. Wait, where are you going? The worry in his voice was palpable, so I glanced over my shoulder to reassure him. Don't worry, I just want to check on something. I carefully made my way over to the pebbles, the warning about the barrier still fresh in my head. The small stones were uniformly placed around the mansion. The line was too precise to be a coincidence. I leaned closer, staring at them. Is this... Watch out! A weight hit me in the side just as a glass wall gleamed in front of my eyes. I tumbled onto the ground and looked over just in time to see Papa Bear stumble backwards and knock his arm against the wall. That sounded like it hurt. Light arced the contact surrounding the small teddy bear. All at once, the stench of seared wool and burning fabric struck my senses as I watched Papa Bear fall to the ground. Black smoke licked at his arms. Papa Bear! I rushed over to him, and I saw a small part of his arm was burned away, revealing the fluffy foam inside, now singed. I gasped. If he were human, that foam would have been flesh and blood. I tried searching for that mysterious wall once again, but it was gone as fast as it had appeared. It seemed to be invisible until it was touched. Thank you, Papa Bear. Before I got lost in my thoughts, I looked down at Papa Bear, reaching out to stroke his head. Papa Bear, are you? Before I could finish my question, Papa Bear reared up and chomped down hard on my forearm. Ow! Idiot! Groaning, Papa Bear stumbled a little as he got to his feet, but soon stood firm, those harsh eyes glaring at me. He pressed his injured arm against his side, and I couldn't help shivering a little at the sight of it. You would have been burnt meat if I hadn't pushed you. What? Huffing, I reached over, squeezed his cheeks. The felt turned red beneath my fingers. I didn't ask you to do that. Swatting at my hands with his uninjured arm, Papa Bear gave me an indignant look as if I were the source of his every irritation. This is the thanks I get for saving your life? Eh? That was not the response I expected. I stared at Papa Bear and the faintest smoke still drifting from his arm. Before I could fret, Baby Bear approached with a jovial laugh. Smooth move, Mr. Knight in shining armor. Our princess here wasn't in any danger at all. The color drained from Papa Bear's face, almost blackening, I don't know what that is, the fabric this time. All of his intentions and adrenaline faded and realization kicked in. What? I bit my lip, fighting off a wave of guilt. The shock in Papa Bear's expression told me he really thought I was in danger. Well, it's the thought that counts, right? I gestured towards the pebbles. I wasn't planning on leaving anymore. I just wanted to see why the pebbles were lined up like this. Papa Bear fell to his knees, staring at me with a doomed expression on his teddy bear face. More pangs of guilt struck my chest. I finished my explanation in a lowered voice. And now I kinda know why. The sound of small feet on the grass rustled. I looked over my shoulder and saw Mama Bear and Lily dashing towards us, both wearing expressions of concern. What happened here? Royal, your arm! Gasping, Lily pressed her hands over her mouth before looking down at the grass. Papa Bear huffed and glared sulkily in the opposite direction. This is nothing. Wearing a broad grin, Baby Bear joined the group, lifting his paw and patting me on the arm. He was playing the honorable knight, saving a damsel in distress. Papa Bear gave a frustrated exhale and got to his feet. Shut up, I'm going back inside. He hid his face from me, but I was sure his cheeks were flushed. Mama Bear stepped in front of Papa Bear before he could stomp off and reached out to touch Papa Bear's wrist. Royal, let me fix you up. I felt worse and worse as I stared at his scorched fabric and blackened wool. It was my fault he was injured. I should have been more aware of my surroundings. Maybe then I could have stopped him before he collided with me. Feeling a wave of determination came over me. I shifted over to Papa Bear and Mama Bear. Before he could resist, I lifted Papa Bear into my arms and got to my feet. A flash of red crossed his muzzle as he began to struggle in my arms. What are you doing? Put me down, you idiot. I held on to him, but tried to be gentle so I didn't accidentally hurt him. He didn't seem to feel pain as he said, but I didn't know that for sure. Let me do it instead. The sewing, I mean. From the ground, Mama Bear gave me a perplexed look, complete with a tilted head. Are you sure, my lady? It's no trouble for me to. Yes, I'm sure. It's the least I could do. Papa Bear ceased his struggling, though the look he gave me was not one of gratitude. Do you even know how to sew, girl? I hesitated. I've done a bit of stitching back from time to time. That wasn't that hard, as I remember. You don't think I can? Don't answer a question with a question. Though Papa Bear's attitude stayed firm, I noticed a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. Baby Bear chuckled, a playful smirk curving his mouth. Hey, at least she's nice enough to offer you her help. As if to avoid more discussion and pestering, Papa Bear slumped in my arms with a heavy sigh. Tsk, fine, just make sure you fix me up properly. Got it? Of course. Ow. I winced as my needle poked my finger for the umpteenth time. Thankfully, I hadn't spilled any blood on Papa Bear's arm, which would have caused him more reason to complain. I paused, noticing the irony of the situation. Here I was worrying about ruining Papa Bear's appearance than spilling my own blood. Sewing wasn't as easy as I thought it was. Papa Bear heaved a sigh at me again. I knew it. You had no idea what you're doing. Of course I do. Ow! Another sigh fell from his lips, but he had nothing more to say. I tried to be more careful, or at least not cry out when I pricked my fingers. Eventually, I finished the task and gave Papa Bear a smile. There you go, good as new. Shifting over to a mirror on the wall, Papa Bear turned to inspect his arms. With every second that passed, the gloomier his expression became. After a moment, he held his arms at me and glared. You call this stitching? It almost looks worse than it did when you started. I flinched, insulted by his lack of gratitude. Thanks, you know. Hey, it's the best I could do. Shaking his head, Papa Bear snorted and began fussing with his arms. I should have let Lord Soul fix me up instead. Though I opened my mouth to retort, another look at his arm closed it. His voice was mean, but he wasn't wrong. I tried my best, but it was obvious I didn't know what I was doing. I hoped Soul could fix my mistakes. After enough silence had passed, I tried to change the topic. Does it hurt? The burn, I mean. Turning from the mirror, Papa Bear gave me a complicated look. It was unsettling how he seemed overwhelmed by emotion in one instant, then void of emotion in another. We are toys. Pain is irrelevant to us now. My observation earlier had been correct, though I doubt being harmed was pleasant, even if he couldn't feel the pain. Papa Bear's tone and choice of words left me uncomfortable, as though there was a lot he wasn't saying aloud. Well, thank you for saving me, even though it wasn't really necessary. I added that last bit with a whisper of teasing in my voice. Unfortunately, his expression remained grim and unsettled. Do you really have to rub it in? I didn't do it for you. Not meaning to upset him, I opened my mouth to apologize, but he shook his head and sighed. I'm just tired of seeing people die in front of me. A strange silence hung in the air following his words. Even though everyone in this mansion thought the swallows was dangerous, it was hard to imagine it to be deadly. When I thought about it, my chest tightened. I couldn't imagine what it was like for them to live this way. Lost in my thoughts, I almost missed what Royal murmured next. Why do I always have to be the one who's left behind? When I looked at him again, Royal was standing closer to the mirror and had his paw resting upon the glass. Though he was a toy bear, there was a genuine sadness bleeding through the fuzzy exterior. Never had it been clearer to me that these toys were once humans. Before I could say his name, Royal looked up and glared at me through the mirror. Anyway, when the time comes and you actually decide to die, do it when I'm not around. Got it. Whatever emotions I might have seen on Royal were immediately buried. I wanted to ask him so many questions, but the look in his eyes convinced me to save them for now. And here I thought you were finally beginning to be nice to me. If I'm being nice to you, then the world is going to end. Giving one final scuff, Royal strode from the room. Okay guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you click that like button and also subscribe. See you later.